Welcome to my budget deck channel where I try to make decks as cheap and playable as possible, so if this is something you'd be interested in, then why not subscribe? Today with the monster type festival, and I'm going to try to give you some decks that, well, can survive the festival, that you can be playing in the festival. Most of them will be decks that I have done on my channel in the past, so I will be linking all the deck profiles there, so if you want to get a better grasp of the deck, then this would be the video. But obviously most of them require certain additions because the ban list is not very nice to you, and yeah, you cannot be playing all the cards that you used to, so we will be going through this one. I had to change some of the danger stuff. We have to run Chupacabra now, just mainly to dig for other things and have a level 4 monster on board. It's a bit annoying, but it is what it is. We play triple of all of the Plunder Patrol cards because we kind of need them because we don't have that many searchers. Then a new card comes into play, Salamander Catalyzer, a card that works decent in this specific variant because you can get monster on board without normal summoning, and you can use send cards to the graveyard, so that is also quite nice. We have Radiant, the multi-dimensional kaiju in here, mainly because I don't quite know what the meta is going to be, but you definitely want to have a kaiju in there and a feat monster that can also be helpful from time to time. We have Raigeki in this deck if you want to be going second, or if you are stuck in a grind game. We have Monster Reborn in here for extending our plays. Ship Shape because this card is decent in the graveyard, not as easy to get into the graveyard as it used to be, but we have the field spell, so there is that one. Obviously triple field spell because this card is insane for the deck. We have Forbidden Chalice in here, we have Forbidden Droplet in here, we have Torrential Tribute, we have Infinite Permanence at 1 because this card you basically get for free in the master packs. And if you're not new to my channel, you know then I always include one of these kind of cards and don't count them towards the ultra rare count, just because most people will have opened the master pack bundles. Two new additions in here as well. In the non-Labrynth version is Fair Welcome Labrynth. Sometimes in the festivals the playstyle is a bit slower, a bit grindier, so you can try this card out if you want to. You obviously can play different hand traps, triple infinite impermanence if you want to. This card can be somewhat helpful though, because you mainly will always be controlling a fiend monster. And this card then also searches you the Simuel Archfiends, which I wanted to try for this festival. A card that I think can be quite nice. You can cut it if it doesn't work out for you, but I wanted to try it at least. And it seems effect-wise decent, and it doesn't hinder your deck really, so there's that. And we have one Plunder Patrol booty in here. For the extra deck, 2 Patrol Ship Lice, 1 Bran, 1 Yord, triple Evil Storm Nightmare, triple Rhapsody, not that you really need them, but just to put stuff in here, and 2 Plunder Patrol Ship Merc, 1 Plunder Patrol Blackbeard. You'd usually want to be playing 2 or 3, but yeah, we're trying to keep it as cheap as possible. And Dispatch Parazi just in here because it's a fiend monster and it's one of the cheaper ones that you can actually play. And obviously there's non-cheap ones that you could be playing that are a lot better than that. Comes to mind obviously the Link 4 of Unchained, for example, or something that you could be playing if you have it, but I didn't want to be doing that one. This deck in general will probably be one of the weaker ones that I've showcasing here, just because of the fact that it lacks a lot of consistency. Not because Plunder is necessarily a bad deck, but I think from even what I've seen in the decks that you get for free, the loaner decks, this deck can overly compete with it. It's still a playable deck, and if you have plunders anyway, you might as well give it a try. If you build my version, the better, but yeah, it is a decent deck, but I think there's going to be decks that are a tiny bit better down the line in this video as well, so let's move on with that one. And of course this deck couldn't have missed this list, because when can field decks really shine? Well, of course when you bring out the Abyss Actors. Yes, Abyss Actors, one of my favorite decks of all time. This deck is so much fun. You can really tell how excited I am that I can play basically a full list of this without like certain hand traps. Yes, this deck is a lot stronger if you use like crazy go second cards or like good of hand traps, but you can still play this deck. It's good going second, it's decent going first, at least these days, and you don't really need the extra deck at all, besides very 2 specific cards that you might want to be playing at 2 if you have it, but it's still fine at 1. Let's go through the list. I filled up the slots, the hand trap slots, with 3 kaijus. Will be coming in handy, but you have to watch out. Some stuff locks you into like Abyss Actors and whatnot, so you have to really watch out how you're doing it. We have 1 Funky Comedian, we have 3 extras, we have 3 Comic Relief, we have 2 Sassy Rookie, we have 3 Wild Hope. You can cut 2 Wild Hope if you want to. If you want to be playing really much on a budget, fill them up with other Abyss Actor level 4 monsters. You can play like 3 Sassy Rookie and one of the other ones if you really want to. If you want to just try this deck out, it still works without it, but it works a lot less. You usually want to be searching this card, but sometimes when searches are disrupted, but Ash Blossom isn't a thing in this event, so you might be getting away with just running 1. we have triple Curtain Raiser, we have 1 Superstar, usually want to be running 2, we have 3 Mellow Madonna, also cards that you can get away with if you just run it at 1 in this specific event. You can try it out. If you don't want to invest into this deck fully, then you can get away with just playing 1 if you really want to just be trying it out, but obviously this card very, very good for consistency, so you want to run it at 3 unless you just want to be trying it out for the event. It should be fine at 1. We have 1 Opening Ceremony, which isn't as good because you don't get to search hand traps, or if you draw your hand full, then yeah, it's not going to do as much as it used to if you be able to play like a deck full of hand traps. Then we have 1 Abyss Script, Rise of the Abyss King, triple Abyss Actors, Dress Rehearsal. I would say this card is a 3-off because this card does a lot for this deck, and this is one of the main searchers, so if you need to be playing 1 super at 3, definitely this one. We have a triple Abyss Script, the dramatic story, because you can get this effect off multiple times in a grind game, and this card can be quite nice to get certain plays off, and the second effect is very important for going first. Talking about going first, one of the cards that now you can only be playing at 1 because we have the Link 2 in Master Duel, so that's fine. We have 2 of the Abyss Tainment, we have triple Book of Moon, triple Forbidden Chalice, obviously cards that you want to be playing. It's like evenly matched and stuff if you have it as well. Any good stuff, well, that is the budget version. We have 1 Infinite Impermanence in here just because I already talked about this Master Pack bundle, and this is a hand trap, which is very important. For the extra deck, we have a lineup of cards that you can go into but probably won't, which is this one. Cards that matter are this, and theoretically sometimes this could come up, but usually it won't either because this deck locks you quite a lot. I would say this is one of the stronger decks of this format, at least when it comes to budget decks. You can be grinding away quite a lot of wins with it, especially in a lower tier if you're playing against not the most competitive builds in general, and this deck has or can be a very good powerhouse, especially going second. Do not underestimate this deck going second, especially since we run cards like Infinite Impermanence, Forbidden Chalice, Book of Moon, and triple Kaiju, so you are prepared for that as well. And yeah, very, very interesting deck, very nice playstyle. A bit confusing at first, but also there are plenty of combo videos on YouTube, so you should be absolutely fine with that. And it doesn't take all that long to get a grasp of like the single standard combo that you can do, and from that point onwards you just want to fill your board with stuff and annoy your opponent with niche effects that sometimes are quite nice. Let's move on to the next one. Another deck that I have, well, crammed out from somewhere is Tindangle Labrynth. Yes, the Loner Labrynth version is probably a lot stronger than this one, but people that know my channel know that I love Tindangles for no particular reason, just because if they're Tindangles and nobody plays them and I'm like, well, I might play them, and this is a version that you can be playing. It's not a necessarily good version, but it has some Labyrinth stuff in here. You can see the problem is that you have to run some Tindangles, and you could actually be running good trap cards, and you won't because there's Tindangles in here. It is what it is. Let's go through the list. We have Stovey Torby at 3, we have this one at 3, we have Chandraglier at 3, we have 1 Spirit of the Fallwind, mainly because we don't need that many normal summons. We have 1 Tindangle Angel in here, triple Ariana in here, we have 1 Base Gardener, so we could go into the Link monster, very important. We have a Tindangle Duels in here, we have Tindangle Intruder in here, we have 1 Hound in here, usually a card that don't really include, but this deck kind of needs a win condition, and Hound might be the one. We have 1 Labyrinth Arcfiend in here, we have 1 of the big one in here, 1 of the other big one in here, we have the Field Spell in here, and we obviously have 1 setup in here, so we can recycle some trap cards and potentially set stuff from our deck. We don't really run that many trap cards, so this card will be dead unless you like search it and have 1 of the trap cards as well, or draw both of them, and you know how it is. We have Torrential Tribute at 2, Needle Sealing at 3, because theoretically we can start with like 2 monsters, then if the opponent uses 2, then you can nuke the board and you keep your flip monsters on board, so that's quite helpful. We have Dynamiscus in here at 3 because we have lots of stuff in our hand that we might want to be discarding. We have this card at 2. I didn't want to, I couldn't play it at 3 because this deck's already kind of bricky, so yeah, 2 it is. If plus you don't really have that much link material, so if at this point you haven't won the duel or your opponent hasn't quit because it's annoying them to play against Tindangles, well, you're kind of screwed. We have Jetty Cannon here at 1, we have Welcome Labyrinth at 1, we have Fair Welcome Labyrinth at 1, we have Archfiend's Ghastly Glitch, because this card actually does stuff in here if you control a Fiend monster, which isn't always that easy, so I only run it at 1 because first of all, super rare count, and it is at least searchable, so we have that. You can send card to the graveyard, which is Duels, or you could send to the graveyard Intruder, and from there onwards it does stuff, plus you get rid of 1 card in the field, so there's that. And we have 1 big Welcome Labyrinth in here as well, so yeah. We have some cards that we can be using, not too great, but the deck works. For the extra deck, we have triple of this, triple of this, triple of this, 2 of this, triple of this, and obviously 1 Tindangle Acute Cerberus, which, yeah, I usually never really make, but yeah, you can make it. It's possible. We do run 1 base gardener, so the potential is there. Yeah, deal with it, I guess. But yeah, that is what it is. The deck does work. I've tried lots of test hands with it because I wanted to make sure you can at least play it. I would not send you out into the festival with this list if I hadn't at least tested it. I tested it a bit in real life as well, but yeah, it's not great. It's okay, but Tindangles are base part of this video, and Tindangles are Fiend monsters, so obviously I had to use them. Let's move it on. As a little extra before I get to the last deck, let's cram in what do I think is the best loner deck. And well, the best loner deck, you can already see it here, in my personal opinion, will be the Labyrinth deck. It has lots of different things in here. It has some unnecessary cards. We have like triple Coup Clock in terms of, well, we don't really run that many traps, and we lack the consistency card like the Pot, for example. So if you have that, a bit of an issue. Usually you want to be running Pot of Extravagance, and you could as well with this extra deck, absolutely fine. But we do run the consistency cards of triple this, and we have 3 of this. Maybe 2 would have been a bit better, but it is what it is. We have Searchers in here, and we have trap cards that do stuff. We have Storm and Mirror Force as a removal for lots of different cards. The only problem that I could see with this one being potentially worse than the Herald one is the Herald one has Herald, and since you don't run any Kaijus in here, this could problematically, it could turn out problematic because the Herald can set up a lock that can, well, negate infinite basically, so there's that. You will have to kind of find a way around this, but I assume from the test hands I did with each of them that the Herald one couldn't do it as consistent as you want to, but that this deck can consistently do some stuff. I might be wrong here. I'm not even considering Fluffles. Not that because they're a bad deck. Fluffles are quite decent, but in comparison to the other ones, if you can get Herald out reasonably well, then you might be wanting to play the Herald deck. But other than that, I think from a factor of how easy is it to play, because obviously loner decks, you don't want to learn crazy combos just to be playing a loner deck that you'll never touch again. This one would be the case. Same for Fluffles. Fluffles are a lot more complicated than a trap deck, so there's that. And also power level wise, with the new cards being in here, this deck is probably also a tiny bit stronger than the other 2. It's just my personal opinion, of course. Tell me that you played the Herald deck and absolutely stomped everyone, or Fluffles and for that matter, but it will be a bit easier to get into this deck in comparison to the other 2 as well. So we shall be seeing more of that one, which could be a problematic thing because the mirror match can be quite annoying. Also, you do run certain cards in here that you might not want to, like triple Ariane as well, yeah, and no Xyz monsters that you can go into. A bit problematic, but yeah, if you want to play a different version, a real life version or Master Duel version that isn't a loner deck of Labyrinth, I also have a budget version on my channel as a list, not on the video for this festival, but on my channel in general, so you can try that one out as well if you want to, if you already have some of the cards, because that might be a bit more consistent and plays less annoying cards, but obviously also less of the good cards, so you have to make adjustments left, right, and center. So yeah, but could potentially be a tiny bit better than this list, because this list doesn't have as much payoff. For example, for linking off Backjack, you don't have like Linkaribo in here, and it's lacking certain things. Let me know how the festival goes for you, and let's move it on to the last deck of this video. And the last one, another Fiend deck. Who would have thought? We have the DDD or DD deck, depends on who you ask. We have Necroslime at 1, we have triple Lamia, so we can go into the Link monster. We have 1 DD Swell Slime for keeping it cheap. We have 1 DD Baphomet in here because we needed more cards, more level 4 cards that did stuff. triple Kepler, of course, triple Cerberus, we have triple Copernicus, of course, we have triple Orthos, because this card does quite a lot. We have one DD Evil, just in case there might be some pendulum decks around, and this card might be actually coming in handy in this specific event as well. Other than that, it was just here because it's a level, well, a scale 8, and because it's a level 4 dark monster. We have DD Griffin in here, the one super rare that you do need at 3. We have 3 DD Proud Ogre in here, and that's because this variant kind of wants you to go into Wave High King Caesar, because this card is insane if you can get it out. Same reason for why there's a DD Savant Nicola in here. We have 1 Oblivion King Abyss, because this one is part of a combo. We have DD Savant Thomas in here. This card can be helpful in certain situations. 1 for 1 to start more combos. 2 Dark Contract with Patent Law, Patent License, because this can help you, especially in this specific event, can really help you with its first effect as well. But usually it's also in here because if this card's into the graveyard, it does stuff. We have 1 Dark Contract with the Gate in here. Yes, you usually want to be running this at 3, but in this specific version you get away with running at 1. Obviously, if you have to play 3. We have Dark Contract with the Swamp in here, a very, very, very interesting card because it can start your combos and it can go into this guy, and this one is very interesting. We have Forbidden Chalice in here. Usually I played the cards, the Sky Striker card that protects your monster in your extra monster zone, because usually this card is susceptible to hand traps and this is a massive combo piece. But since Ash Blossom isn't part of this anymore, we only have to, or Effect Veiler, we only have to worry really about impermanence. And yeah, let's hope that the opponent doesn't play, draw impermanence all the time. So, and we have triple DD, or 1 DDD Hit Hand in here, because this card is a searchable trap and can do quite a lot. 1 Flame King Genghis. We have 2 Oracle King Dark in here, because theoretically this card is well, can help you go into certain kings like Divisor King, and can also help you go into the Link monster. We have 1 Super Doom in here, just for lols. Ghost King Alexander can be in here. We have Cursed King in here. We have the other Super Doom in here. We have Evil Swarm Nightmare in here. We have Wave King Caesar in here. We have double Wave High King. Oof. Very hard to say the names in here. We have 1 Divisor. You can also be playing 2 if you really want to. Same with Abyss King Gilgamesh. We also usually want to be playing 2 or 3, I feel like. Not 100% sure, but I felt like 1 made sense and was still fine. And 1 Dispatch Parazi. Just put it in here. You theoretically want to be running like rank 7s as well if you can. But yeah, just put stuff in the extra deck, whatever you feel like. The DDD stuff is the one that really matters here. And this is my video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, but most importantly, I hope you have a good time with these decks or with the festival in general, and I hope you have a good day.